Hi guys and girls, Dave back with another video. Today I'm here with something a little bit different, and this video is a bit of a behind the scenes with me personally. I'm going to be upgrading my file server that I have set up on top of my daily driver at the moment. So that's one of the things. I bought a couple of bits as well. There's a couple of systems that I've got on my table here that the camera's sat on top of. So I'm going to be running you through that in a minute as well. But basically what's happening is the server's getting an upgrade. I have a system here that I use for VR, which is going to be moved into a different system as well. So that's why I purchased these bits as well as a little case. So I might as well just, instead of stalling, just jump straight into it and show you what's going on. So here's the two systems that you were sat on top of. This is my current VR PC that I've been using. So basically what's happening, the deal today is that I'm salvaging this m-atx board. It's B450, both ASRock, funnily enough. So yeah, the price to performance for me, ASRock is hard to beat at the moment, and never had any issues with their boards. I'm very happy, so I'm just gonna carry on using them. Back to this, the m-atx board, and that is the one that's going to be going in my new server with a Ryzen 3 2200G. Had to think about that for a second then. It's going to be coming with 8 gigs of DDR4 running at 2400. As I don't really need the speed in my server. Pick the RAM up for super cheap. Parts I'm salvaging out of this one and putting into this system, as this is the new case and the new board that I bought earlier. Going to be getting the new power supply in there in a minute as well. I'm taking I've got a Ryzen 5 2600 and the Nitro Plus RX 570. Those things are moving out of here and they're going to be going into here. And then this PC will be done and that will be going back downstairs, and that's just what I use for VR. And if I ever go in, away anywhere to like some sort of events like Insomnia or something like that, for example, then this would be the PC that I'm going to be taking with me. There's an SSD, it's a gigabyte, like 500 gig SSD. That's going to be going in here as well, and I'm just going to have like a single SSD, and then if I need to add something later on, then I'll do that as well. Might chuck a fan in the front there. I'll have to see what I've got in the drawer, I'm not entirely sure. So that's that PC out of the way. The case is it was a review case that I've just been using for the last little while. It's the Metallic Gear Neo Mini. So the only thing that I'm really taking out of this is the power supply, which is what I use for my reviews, so I'm just keeping that separate. And apart from that, it's going to be stripped, so it's just going to go back in the box. So that's that. Obviously my file server is still up and running at the moment, so I'll transfer all this stuff and then we'll move over to the server separately, and I'll run you through that a little bit later on. So I've got the m-atx motherboard out of the system, just taking the cooler off there. As you can see, it's just over there on the bed. I'm going to take the processor now and I'm going to transfer it into the new case, which I forgot to say earlier was a Thermaltake Versa H18. I picked this and the motherboard up for about £90, and then the power supply was about another 30 quid on top, something like that. So all in all, yeah, pretty happy so far. Next, I'm just gonna stick the processor into the socket here and we'll carry on. So next little update, I've got the 2600 in here, and then I've pulled out my 2200 I had in a box, and it's in the m-atx PC. I haven't actually tested whether this still works yet, so fingers crossed it does. And then the same for this motherboard. I got this brand new in the post yesterday, so this is something else that I need to keep fingers crossed that works too. I'm sure it will. Being very positive about the whole thing, but yeah, so far so good. Need to decide on a cooler for this processor. I'm definitely not going to use the stock cooler there, so I need to have a look, see what I've got in a box. Off the top of my head, I know I've got a top-down cooler of some kind, so I'm going to go look for that. yeah, so that's probably going to be the cooler for this. Just got to plug the RAM in, power supply. So this will probably be the thing I do next. Graphics card as well. Yeah, so might as well finish this, then this can go downstairs out of the way. And I got a notification. Back in a minute. All right, so I transferred the RAM. That's 16 gigs of Crucial Sport 3000 megahertz. I found the cooler that I was on about earlier. It's the Fantex top-down cooler, TC something or other, 12 centimeter fan, 120 millimeter fan. The Gigabyte 480 gig SSD that I was telling you about earlier, that's going to go in there. And then obviously the final thing is the Nitro Plus, the RX 570, and then obviously, yeah, the new power supply as well. So really hoping this all works, but that's the next thing. Gotta chuck all that in there now and then get that system done. Figured while I was here, I was planning on installing the SSD here because, you know, it would have been like that with the right way. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to, well, not unfortunately, at least there's space for them here, but I'm gonna have to put it in one of these two, like here or here, because for some reason the spaces like don't fit the holes. I'm not really sure what happened here, but yeah, as you can see, the length, like the hole here or back there, it just doesn't fit, which is kind of rather strange. So that needs to be looked into. Just thought I'd mention it. Funnily enough though, like up here at the top, they all line up perfectly. So in the top it goes. Just something that I thought I would mention. It's a bit strange. Cable management's done. Got the SSD in. 24 pin, 8 pin up there. HD audio, USB 2 front panel. I've got all the IO connectors down there. USB 3, I just not a fan of that connector, but you know, there it is. Be stupid if I didn't plug it in, but it's just so bulky and blocky, it's annoying. But anyway, final thing to do is just got to plug in the graphics card, and I've just run the power cable here for it coming out of down here as well. So it's all gonna look nice and tidy, and then obviously, yeah, finally after that as well, it's just to install the CPU cooler, and then the build's gonna be done. So that's great. So we have it, boys and girls, the finished article. I just added the CPU cooler, which actually fit perfectly and allowed access to install every single little cable in there. So I'm beyond happy with that. The GPU went in with no issues, just kind of bent the cable around here out the way, and it's run just down there. It goes down the back, so that all looks nice and tidy. The only thing that's kind of bothering me is there's not a huge amount of gap here for airflow. So a fan being installed sort of around this area here at some point is probably on the cards, but for now I'm not going to bother because I couldn't find one in the box, which probably means it's in the loft. But yeah, that's done. I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to put the side panel on. It's a Windows side panel. There we go, as you can see. Lovely jubbly. I'm going to run that downstairs, plug that in, make sure that works, and yeah, and then the final job's the server. Oh no. Well, that didn't go as well as one-handed as I was expecting, but done.